I'm going to go ahead and get this started. This is Don, and what I want to welcome everybody to this webinar. I think it's just fabulous. I want to also thank Karen for agreeing to this. I know in the last 3 or 4 weeks I was fielding a couple phone calls now and again asking questions about filling the forms out, and thought the best thing to do was to work directly with Karen and put this webinar up. So I want to thank her for spending the time. I've also managed to enlist her into a webinar this afternoon as well. So I think we got our full date pretty well scheduled. So Karen, I just brought up the application. Did you want to? What were your plans? Do you want to just go through the application line by line, or what's your preference?
I think maybe for following purposes, it might be easier to do that on a line-by-line basis or a page-by-page basis, unless, and then people can stop if they have questions. I'm happy to chat as we go through to say, you know, this is why we're asking that information, etc. So perhaps we start at the top, and if nobody has any questions on a specific page, we can just skip through to the next one. Okay, so just looking at the first page, I think this part is pretty self-explanatory. Is there anyone who has any questions concerning anything on the first page?
Well, this is Charlie at Camp Quality, Kentuckiana. We didn't apply last year, and I'm just curious when it asks, you know, the amount you're asking for, because we're new at this and we're not really sure what the normal ask might be.
Well, I guess it would depend on the size of your camp and if it's a year-round camp. Our grants go anywhere from $1,000 up to $25,000 in that neighborhood. And we also offer a capital program, which we'll talk about a little later. And within that program, we usually fund anywhere from $2,500 to $25,000 as well.
Okay, thank you.
Charlie, this is Mary Lee from Camp Bring It On. We're new at this as well. We did not apply last year. We're just kind of treading the water and seeing how much people typically ask for. And like I said, we do rent our facility. So,
yeah, the maximum grant that we've kind of paid out in the past is $30,000. But if there is a special need or a special requirement, we are certainly happy to look at that if funds are available. So basically, what we do is we take everybody's application, we see how much money we have, and then we spread it out amongst the requests. And that allows us, if one person has a special circumstance for 1 year that they're doing a special project, we can give them more money for that year. So we don't tie you down to if you got 10 this year, you're only going to get 10 next year. Does that make sense to everyone?
Karen, is it fair to say that some of the other qualifications that are considered as the size of the camp, what other funding is available, you know, what percentage of your total budget or operating budget would be represented by the KOA Care Camp grant? So, you know,
we want to make there is, and we want to make sure that the camp does have other sources of revenue, that they're not relying on, you know, for us for the bulk of their money, because we don't want them to think that we can continue to support them similar to what the ACS did and have to at some point in time pull out or something. We want to make sure that they are self-sufficient even without our money. So we don't want to be the 100% contributor to their camp.
Right, and it's fair to say that if your camp budget's $50,000, it's unlikely KOA Care Camps is going to fund half of it.
That's right. Usually we're in the 5 to 10%, but some of the bigger camps have a much bigger budget than we can even tackle.
Sure, sure. Well, every little bit helps.
Exactly. It all adds up. So any questions? Yeah, sure.
I do have a question. This is Diane Junis. Question number 1, legal name of the organization. I guess looking at number 2, the EIN, you know, I'm with the foundation. We're the fundraising entity. Kathy's with the hospital and the camp. So do you want the legal name that is attached to the EIN?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the second page, first question, umbrella nonprofit organization. Some of our camps have several layers of authority, so we need to find out who we're actually distributing funds under. If you received a grant, should the check be payable to? Last year, we didn't ask this question, and I wrote all the checks in the name of the camp. And several of the camps had to call me back and say, I can't cash your check. In fact, 2 of them the bank returned because they were in the name of the camp and not the name of the organization. So please make sure that it's the correct name put in that space so they don't return your check. On question number 9, we have several campgrounds that do connect-to-camp work with the individual camps, and I'm not sure if everybody's heard of that program as yet, but we match the local or the most, the closest KOA campgrounds with a cancer camp and have them deliver the check and build a relationship. So in this case, we want to know where, if you do have a connected camp, where we should have the check hand-delivered, and if you don't have a cancer camp, where it needs to be mailed, because sometimes the camp locations aren't where the check should go. We want them to go to the office that's going to cash them.
I have a quick question. It's
Sure.
Oh, sorry.
Sure.
It's from Charlie from Kentucky. I did some looking. Is there an active list as to, who are the KOA Connect the Camps? Because I called the Louisville Metro KOA, and they indicated they were not part of the program. And then I contacted the South, and they said they were. I've not heard back from them yet, but I just wondered if there's a list for other folks and stuff to know if they need to connect with the camp.
Certainly, I can put that list out and let you know who's agreed to participate as a Connect the Camp. That's not a problem. I'll get that list out to Don, and he can distribute it.
Great.
Mary Lee from South Dakota. We currently are not connected to a KOA camp because we just joined COCA 3 years ago, so everything is very brand new to us. I'd like to throw it out there to ask what kinds of things does KOA do at their campgrounds? Is it canisters?
Every KOA is required to put a coin box out on their reception desk for change when people come in. But in addition to that, we actively raise funds on our campgrounds from our campers. So, for example, at my campground, we do bingos, we do 50-50 draws, we do ice cream socials, we have auction nights where we sell art that the kids have made or that type of thing. So each individual campground, in addition to the must-have of a coin box, can participate at whatever level they wish to participate. Some camps are more active than other camps.
So in South Dakota, Karen, do you know if they're active?
I can tell you that off my list. I don't have it right in front of me right now, but some are more active than others, yes.
Well, then where's the money? I'm being humorous. I've not seen it come in from them.
They send their money directly to us, and we distribute it that way.
Gotcha.
So they collect money on their campground. They send the money to KOA care camps, and in turn we distribute that money to you. That's where our money comes from. In the past, it has been 100% from the campground owners that collect it and give it to care camps. Okay. KOA care camps has grown significantly in the last 2 years, and we've now expanded into doing partnership programs, sponsorship programs, dealing with foundations. So our base for donors has grown significantly, but in the past it has always been from fundraising efforts on the individual campgrounds. So for example, down in Okeechobee, in that neighborhood, they're raising 40 and 50,000. Okeechobee KOA is raising 40, 50,000 a year. Up in Canada, we're only open half the year, so my campground raises just under 25,000 a year. We have 140 spots. So some of them are very actively involved at their campground level, collecting money for the different activities they do. we've asked this question just to make sure that the program's working from both ends, that you're aware of who your connected camp is if you've been assigned one, and if it's working well for you. Those that haven't been connected yet, we'll work on that this year.
This is Amy from Hopkins, and I just want to tell you, we are connected with one. I don't remember the exact name, but the people are so nice. They've come out, and even one year they made a quilt for us. It was just amazing. Wow. They made a quilted banner that we then displayed at the camp so the kids could see, and it was really special.
And it goes the other way as well. One of the things our campgrounds love to see is the thank yous from the kids. So when you guys send KOA or myself in the thank yous, we share those with the local camps, and we share them with our membership and our board so they can see the impact that we're having.
Karen, before you go to the next page, I apologize, but can I go back to a question on the prior page?
Sure.
On the geographical location. We have 5 camp programs. This is Debbie in Camp Rainbow in St. Louis, and we hold them in 3 different locations.
Okay.
So how do you want us? Do you want us just to attach an addendum, or do you, if we're putting in a grant request for a specific program, are you only interested if that specific program is being held?
So exactly. I need to know the program that we're funding. So if you're asking for your family program and it's held at XYZ camp, then I need to know the geographical location. And the reason we ask that is we have a lot of people like our KOA campgrounds and different people who want to know where the camp itself is located. So we're going to be doing a map with all of the camps where they're held versus where their head office is. Sometimes we try to connect the KOA campground with a camp and their head office is in Reno, but the camp's held in Vegas. So it's farther for them to go.
That's pretty straightforward. But for the camp-in program, we hold it at 3 different hospitals. So it's really, so should I just put an addendum of these 2 other locations?
Yes, at the very end there's a box that says, is there any other information that you need to provide us or that you'd like us to know about? And if you could just put it in there, or you can even write on this where it says site name, put 3 and then a dash and put the 3 different locations.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so let's go to the next page. These questions, are you a member of COCA-I? We're really trying to encourage participation in COCA-I and becoming a member with the COCA-I organization. I think today we're speaking to all COCA-I camps, but KOA Care Camps does support at the moment camps that are not KOA Care Camp, not COCA-I camps. And so we're trying to encourage them to become COCA-I camps. So this is why we've asked them to indicate whether they are or not. And at some point, we do believe that it will become a requirement of receiving KOA Care Camp money to become a member of the association. We want to know and be able to tell our donors the quality of the camps that we are supporting, so that's why we've asked about being a gold ribbon campground, and whether you have any other associations that have accredited you, like the American Camping Association, and we want to see what other endorsements that you've received to give us an idea of the quality of the camps that you're hosting. Okay, next page then.
Well, actually, I have a question on number 14, the average camp cost per child. In our case with Camp Qualities, we do one-on-one where we have, camp companion paired up with a camper. And I'm not sure all camps do that, but I'm sure a lot of them do. And I guess, because of that, the cost per child is actually doubled because you're having to pay to have the volunteer companion be there too. And I didn't know if that's necessary to explain as you folks are evaluating.
It would be great if you put the amount and put beside it includes companion.
Okay, thanks.
And this is Dave. It's pretty standard practice when you talk about the cost per child. You take your entire camp cost and divide it by the number of campers, not by the number of people, because you couldn't put the camp on without the volunteers or the med staff and whoever. So that's a very honest cost. It may result in a higher cost per person if you have more people on site, but it's no less accurate.
Thank you.
Okay, so number 3, details of your camp session. So we're on page 5 of the application, and it starts by please list the age range of your campers. KOA Care Camps currently supports children, and we try to keep our funding within the 16 to 18 years and under age group. So that's just why we asked that. We want to make sure you're not getting too far outside of our range. Do you operate year-round? Is there a camp or is this a day camp or an overnight camp? How many sessions did you offer? And on what date are those sessions taking place? And how many days in the session did you have last year?
I have a question about that. In the past, this is Amy from Camp Sunrise, when we write, we've never asked for money for our sibling weekend, so we don't include that in the numbers. Should we be including that in how many sessions we offer?
If you're not asking for money to fund it, then no.
Okay.
We only want to know about the sessions that we're going to be funding for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Now, if you wanted to get funding for a sibling camp, you could put in a second application for that.
Okay.
And put the statistics for that. But we specifically want the numbers related to just the sessions that you're asking for funds for.
Great. Thank you.
How many days in the session, how many days in total, and how many unique children with cancer did you serve? So we're looking, if you had one child that went to 10 sessions, that would be one unique child. Okay, next page. And again, this is how many siblings, unique parents, and grandparents. And is there anyone else? I'm not sure if any of the camps include anybody else, so we're trying to get an idea of who else might attend camp and be affected by the funds that we are providing.
So in the family camp scenario, where we take the immediate family, for argument's sake, let's say there's mom, dad, patient, and siblings, that would be 4 unique?
That's right. So the child affected would be entered on question number 8. The siblings would be entered on question number 9. And the parents or grandparents or aunts and uncles or whoever would be listed in number 10. If there's anybody outside that family globe, say, a teacher or a tutor or something like that, would be number 11. And then of real importance to us is question number 12. For your 2014 camp session, did you turn anyone away due to lack of funding? Our goal is to ensure that every child who wants to go to camp will be able to go, and we want to make sure that we're not turning anybody away. So if in the past, last year, you did turn people away, certainly that will go to weighing the amount of money that we give you. The more children you've turned away, likely the more we would be prepared to supply you under the grant. And then the average cost per child, what it was last year and what it was this year.
This is Patsy from Camp Kima. Can I ask you a question about that? You said cost per child, but if we're looking at something other than just our week of camp with patients and siblings, do you want us to include, say, for example, we're talking about our family camp. Does that question then go from cost per child to cost per person?
Are they part of the group that you're asking money for?
Yes.
Then, yes, you would include it there.
So would it be cost, I have a similar question, would it be cost per family, or would it be, so if we have a family of 4, because you said before it's the entire camp cost divided by the number of people, so a family of 4, would that be divided by 4, or do you treat that?
That's right. We want per person.
Per person. Okay, so, okay.
Okay, now number 15, what is the total operating expenditures and projected expenditures? This relates specifically to the camp. So if you're part of a YMCA that runs a year-long program, I don't care about what the numbers for the 5,000 people they serve. We're concerned about the operating expenditures and information related just to the camp session that we're looking at funding for you. Okay, and then 16, we ask what the percentage is to ensure that we're not funding, 99% of your revenues to make sure that you're sustainable in the future.
On 15 and 16, total operating expenditures for last year, do you want us to separate? I have my treasurer hat on right now. Do you want me to make sure to separate like the direct costs for our summer camp versus costs for, administration, or like our camp reunion we have, separate out everything that's not directly related to the summer camp?
That's right. What I'm looking for is the cost for, so if your camp is a week-long camp, the costs related to that week-long camp.
Okay.
Okay, next page. And this is just to give us an idea of who else you're dealing with to ensure that, again, we're not more than, we're not one of your major donors. Okay, next page. How many volunteers are on your camp staff? And how many of your camp staff are paid? And how many of your camp staff receive remuneration in excess of $100,000? And question number 4, we want to make sure that the funds we are giving you are going 100% to the camp. So if we're giving you money, it's not going to the YMCA head office for administration purposes. It's staying at the campground level. So we just want to confirm that's the case. Question number 5 is the list of the items that we ask that you provide so that we can ensure for our purposes that you're spending the money as it's been, as per your previous applications with us, if you've got previous funding. We also want to make sure that you are registered, so the proof of the 990 form. And we want to know your budget for this coming year for sure so that we can see what you're planning to spend the money on if we give it to you. Okay, next page. And then these are items that allow us to interact with you and help promote your camps as well as you helping to promote our agency. So do you currently have a link to KOA on your website? We ask that you put KOA logos where possible on your materials. And the big thing for us is trying to promote the camps. Now that we're getting onto a national basis and soliciting funds nationally, it's very important for us to have the DVDs and the pictures and the stories. That's what draws the donor in, is the emotion versus anything else. So the more information and pictures and stories you can provide us, the bigger the pool of funds we will have to distribute out to you. And then would any of your staff be willing to participate in raising funds through speaking at one of our meetings? Every year we have a national convention and for KOA owners, and we always love to have somebody from the local cancer camp come out and speak at the organization or bring some of the children in. It's a big fundraising event for us, and it certainly helps us solicit more money for you guys. So if it is in your neighborhood, we will be contacting you to ask for participation. This year coming up, it's in Daytona Beach, and the following year it's in Memphis. Okay, next page. Okay, so one of the things that we also do, in addition to funding your day-to-day camp program, is we allow, we have a pool of money set aside for you to purchase items for your campground or for your cancer camp. So if you needed some walkie-talkies, or if you needed to build a memorial garden, or if you needed to get a specific piece of sporting equipment like a canoe or badminton rackets or something like that, KOA has the money set aside, Care Camp has the money set aside to do those projects. So each year we have people apply for capital funding. We have $100,000 in that budget to spend on the camps that ask for funding. So It's a separate application form. It's very straightforward. And if anybody's interested in needing equipment or supplies for their campground, here's the time to ask for additional funding. Last year we funded computers, cameras, all kinds of equipment. We did a maintenance shed. We helped support the purchase of a vehicle for a camp. So this is the time, if you have a special item that your camp desperately needs, put it yes here, and we will certainly send you the capital application so that you can get some additional funding. Any questions on that?
Mary Lee from South Dakota. I know what the I know it depends on the project, but what's the normal ask for this, since you have $100,000 to spread around a lot of camps?
Well, last year we did fund a vehicle, so we did spend $25,000.
Okay.
We also bought some walkie-talkies that were like $600. So it's very much what the item's going to be used for and how it's going to benefit the camp and the children.
Thank you.
Last year we had a campground that burnt down, and so we were able to use our capital money to have them buy all the equipment and the stuff that they lost, all their administrative stuff, so they were able to start up in a new location already with the stuff that had burnt.
That's wonderful.
So if you are interested, put yes, and then once we receive your application, we will send you the capital grant application, and it's pretty straightforward. So basically, it's your contact information. What is it you want us to fund? Provide us the detail. How's it going to improve the camp? We also want to make sure whether you own the facilities or rent it, because we don't want to spend $50,000 at somebody's camp when they rent it and they're not going to be there the following year. So we want to make sure if you're renting, you have a long-term lease in place, so we'll get back to you on that, just to make sure that the money is not going to be wasted and it's going to be well spent. And again, when are you going to start the project? We like to have the project finished in the same year that we approve the funding. Of course, for audit purposes, it makes it a lot easier than carryovers and keeping track from year to year who spent what. So we do ask that if you're going to get a capital grant that you spend the money in the year we give it to you. And we will make sure that you have the money in time for the project. Now what we do ask is we ask if we can get pictures of the items that we funded, and we need actual paid receipts to show that you actually purchased the items. Okay, so and then the very last question on the form after the capital item is there anything else that you need to let us know about? There are copies on our website so that you can print it off ahead of time and fill it in, and then you can easily just enter the information once you get to the application process.
Is the application up on the website now?
Yes, it is. It's up on the KOA website. If you go to the tab that says About Us, there's a bar that says Funding. Just click on the Funding tab, and it's on the left-hand side on the bottom. And the PDF, the questionnaire is there, and the link to get to the application is there. Our website address is www.koacarecamp.org.
I'm sure this is on your website or whatever. Offhand, do you know what your deadline is for the application?
This is April 15th, and I get back to you by April 30th.
Karen, I just want to thank you personally, and I also want to thank you from COCA for taking the time and helping us out.
No problem.
I think it's been invaluable for the whole group. So
I noticed that Alan Brockman, who's on the COCA board and has been really cracking the whip to get COCA members to apply, I had sent out an email last night saying that we still have a lot of folks to get through the pipeline, and I assured him that you all were doing such a great job on this seminar that I had no doubt everyone who attended would be shortly would be applying for funding. So
certainly, last year we approved 94 camps. So far this year, I've only received applications from 27.
Yeah, well,
So we have a long way to go to get that 100.
No, we're going to get up there because you got a lot of camps like mine that have it pretty much 95% filled out, but because it has to be signed and sent at the same time, we're just making sure we got all our ducks in a row. So.
Right. No, we want to make sure that we exceed our number from last year. Our goal is to get 100 camps this year.
Great. Well, I know Alan's doing his best. Alan is really pounding the pavement. Half his emails are in red font, so.
He's very excited. He always has, every year as the names come in, he gets very excited. That,
yeah, well,
I send him a note every time I get one. And
yeah, he's quite a cheerleader. So good. Well, thanks to everybody also who's on the call because clearly you found the information helpful, and I hope it means that everyone's going to apply.
It's been very helpful. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay, well, you guys have a great day. If anybody has any further questions that come up after we're off the call, give me a shout. I'll give you my 800 number. It's 800-431-0513, and I'm always happy to talk to you one-on-one and walk you through it if you have any questions or problems.